Hey everybody, we're here at the midnight premiere of Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1. Now, as you can see, there's a pretty big line here. It's pretty excited for this movie, this town must be. Pretty interested in how they're gonna do this one, because I mean, this is the first film. I'm pretty sure they're gonna try to put everything in the book actually into the movie. Because with the last ones, I mean, every time you do a movie from a book, you're gonna have to cut stuff out. But they're actually putting one book into 2 films. They're cutting this one up, so I think they're going to try to fit as much as they can into this one. So I'm pretty excited for it. Yeah. What do you think?
I'm uber excited. It's really cold outside, but it's so worth it for the Harry Potter premiere, and I can't wait until the doors open so we can go watch the movie. And all the fans that are out here, most of them are like dressed in their Harry Potter ensemble, and they even brought their wands. And
they had a wizard fight. Most of the films have been pretty visually entertaining. You know, they stick to the story. I like the story, how they are. So I can fairly say that I'm actually looking forward to this one. So we'll see how it goes. Hopefully it doesn't let me down.
So guys, we'll see you back in the studio, and we'll let you know how the premiere of The Deathly Hallows was.
In 3 hours. It's cold. See you later.
To the screening room!
Hey everybody, I'm Jess Gilmore, and this week on the Screening Room, we're going to be reviewing Harry Potter and the Deathly Hallows Part 1, so let's roll the trailer.
No sign of him, my lord.
Harry Potter, the boy who lived, come to die.
Because I have something worth living for.
Only I can live forever.
So, Harry Potter, what'd you think?
I thought it was a really good movie. I mean, I'm a big Harry Potter fan, so just, I really expected a lot from it, it being the last movie, and I think I did get a lot from it. I mean, of course, the climax builds up, and they don't hit the, you know, the main point. I mean, they do, but it doesn't get to the ending, because, I mean, it's part 1, but
Yeah.
I really enjoyed the movie, and it was really different from the other ones, so I got what I expected. I really liked it. It was a good movie.
Yeah, it definitely had a little bit of a different feel to it. You know, not taking place at Hogwarts, obviously. Which, you know, I did kind of miss the school. I'm not gonna lie. You know, that was, I like that aspect.
Same
of
here.
the whole thing.
I liked the whole feel of like them being at school, and it was more. It was just more homey, I guess, for them. It was different seeing them in a different place than what it usually takes place in. So.
No, I mean, overall, I thought it was actually a really good movie. I thought that they did well outside of Hogwarts, like, you know, with the way they shot it. There's some really beautiful scenes, really beautiful landscapes. I was kind of let down by the ending of the movie. I mean, obviously, any movie that's going to be split up into multiple movies is going to have that kind of, I call it the Lord of the Rings type ending, where it's just like, okay, now it's over.
Yeah, I think they like build up, you know. A lot of the scenes were taken, like the forest scenes. I think they took forever extending those scenes, and then just, like you said, the ending, it was kind of, you wanted to watch more, you know, you didn't want it to end, but.
So the acting in the film, how do you know, it's different from, you know, we remember as kids seeing these actors and actresses play these characters, and we grew up with them as these characters, and now they're our age, obviously, in their 20s. How do you think they did?
I think they did great. I mean, since the beginning, they did great on the casting. I mean, I don't know how this film would have turned out if it would have been different people. I think they did amazing. So just seeing them grow up and turn into like great actors, I think they did really great in the film. I mean, they seemed more mature. I guess, I mean, the character had to be more mature because it was the character they were playing, but I think they did a phenomenal acting job.
Yeah, I mean, I wasn't really disappointed with any of the acting in this. I mean, with a movie like this, you know, fantasy, obviously, it's a really big world you have to create, and you have to have actors that can sell it. Now, I think it is kind of easier for them to sell it once we've grown up with them, especially for people our age. Like, we literally grew up with these actors as these characters, especially when we were kids, big Harry Potter fans. And just what they have developed into, they've literally kind of become their characters. Now, as far as an acting career for them, I don't know how it's going to turn out as far as... Because a lot of times, like, say, with the original Star Trek series and the movies, is those actors became those characters.
Yeah, it's like we got so used to them. I mean, if they ever go into a different role, it's just people are always going to see them as, you know, Hermione and
so
Ron
we'll see them. I wouldn't say always. We'll see them as these characters unless they continue to be phenomenal actors. Because some people might start out like that. Like, you might say, oh, I always see Brad Pitt as his character from Fight Club. But if he wasn't such a great actor,
they would always see him as
yeah, they might always see him. It's like, it's their first, you know, any actor who has that first really big role or series, like, say, some of the actors from Lord of the Rings, Star Wars, Star Trek, they almost become those characters unless they're great actors, and some of them can keep going and become that. And I definitely think some of the people in this cast have that. They have that capability. So
like
we'll see what happens.
Like you said, how it's like a sci-fi, you know, fantasy kind of film. I think they do have to get really into their characters and be like really emotional, and I think they did a great job with that, because in this film it's a lot, their characters go through like a lot of kind of like
heightened
insecurities and emotions, and just like they feel alone and they're kind of vulnerable.
Yeah, like, I mean, for people who haven't read the book or seen the movie, it's kind of a spoiler, but at the beginning of the movie, Hermione, Emma Watson, leaves her family and erases their memories of her. Now, that's for a 17, she's playing a 17-year-old girl.
Yeah.
That's just a really big thing to do. And for any 17-year-old, you know, they pretty much leave their families for this entire year. You know, for however long the Deathly Hallows Part 1 takes place, and both two, they leave their families, they leave this to go on this quest. And
that can possibly, you know,
they're young, you know, and to be put in these situations, it's hard on, like, as a character, that would be really hard on that character, and they really sold it, especially with the Horcrux, the soul of Voldemort that they're carrying around with them that they got from the last film. No, they got that in this one. I'm sorry, they destroyed the other one. And that, how it affects each character, they really did well on that. So.
Yeah, I think each character, they did a really good job on changing kind of how they were throughout like the first 6 movies. For example, like Ron, throughout the movies he was just kind of like the guy that is Harry Potter's friend. I mean, like the funny one, you know, but now in this film, he kind of had to change his role and kind of become like this guy who's kind of had like hate, or he was scared and terrified of what was going on. And he kind of took it out on his friends, and
Yeah.
it was just kind of different seeing that side of him too. So
Yeah, so as far as the story, like, I mean, obviously it's based off a book, which, you know, is based off a series of books. But as far as the story, how do you think that the story progression from the beginning of the movie, because it's, you know, basically started out from the end of the last movie almost, you know, just after that summer, like it always does for all the films. How did you think the story progression, the story overall and the progression of how they went through the story, how did you think that was?
I think they did a really good job, like, kind of explaining it, because, I mean, if you haven't really read the book, sometimes it can be a bit confusing, but I think they did really well in, like, opening kind of what was going on in the beginning, and then kind of explaining it towards the end, and you can kind of understand or remember, oh, that's what happened in the book, or, so I think they did really good on just the progression and, like, explaining what was going on, and I think that was a really good.
Yeah, I mean, obviously with any movie that's based off a book, you're gonna have stuff cut out. A lot of people get mad. It's like, oh, they cut out so much stuff. I mean, what happens in a book is it's vast. Inside
More
of a
detailed.
yeah, there's
Way more
huge attention to detail. Lots of things that are going on at the same time, and I mean, really, you can't get that in a film unless you make it a really long, or like a 3-part, or, you know, something like that, because you really have to take a lot of time, which is, I think why they built this. 2 reasons why they made the last one into 2 movies. 1, so they can get more money, and 2, you can fit more of the story in.
And there was so much that needed to be explained. I mean, they can't just shorten it in 2 hours and then all the fans would be mad that, you know.
Yeah.
But, I mean, this film was 2.5 hours, so it's long, pretty long.
You know,
they
it's
usually
a
are long,
longer
so.
film. I mean, instead of doing that like what they did with, you know, some of the Lord of the Rings or like The Watchmen or something, where they made it a really long movie, which sometimes that doesn't work. You know, biggest complaint for a lot of people who didn't like The Watchmen, how long it was. That was one of my complaints. Now, making a movie really long might have taken away from the film. I don't know about this one, because for the most part I enjoyed it a lot. There were some scenes that felt kind of drug out to me, but I think what they did with it was better, splitting into 2. Because you can, really, if you think about it, the next one will probably be 2.5 hours. So that's 5 hours worth of movie. So you can fit a lot more of the story in there, and you can tie up a lot more tie up more loose ends.
Yeah. What did you think about, like, the film? Because I thought the setting and just like the overall like the film was kind of scarier than most of them. Did you think that? Like, it
definitely had a darker tone. Definitely has a dark, because I mean, really, they're dealing with the end of their world, the possibility of the end of their world, the end of their way. So it's definitely has a darker tone than the rest of them. A lot of them are, I mean, even though they dealt with monsters and all that stuff, it's still lighter tone, younger, and they're older now, and they're starting to get darker. So
yeah, I think they did really great with that. So it being the last movie where they're dealing with all the problems that are going on with, like, Voldemort.
Yeah.
Like, I think the director did really good on capturing, like, the dark side of the film and the story.
So overall, what do you think? What would you give it?
I would probably give it a 4, just because, I mean, it's a great movie and I love it, but I've kind of liked some of the older Harry Potter films. Like, one of my favorite, like, the first one is always going to be the original, and I, like, love that one, everything about it. So I don't want to give it a 5 just because it didn't end, you know, so I don't really know what's going to happen at the ending, but, like...
Yeah, I would give it a 4 as well.
4, definitely.
I mean, I enjoyed the movie. It wasn't just like, oh my god, I have to see this a million times. Like, some movies are like that, you know, and that is a 5 to me. So this was really good, so I would give it a 4. So we both give it a 4, so that's 4 out of 5.
So
definitely one you want to go check out in theaters. All right, so see you next time on The Screening Room.